Okay, I think we're live. Oh, I have our comments up. Okay, let me play around with this for a minute. How do I? Oh wait, no, we kind of have room for comments already. Boom. Hi, David. We pushed it. Well, we kept it with UK time. It's
I was eating dinner like 10 minutes ago, just so everyone.
Hi, Michelle.
Yes, I feel like I should be consistent, but I think that like the logic is there that like this one is just early enough that I can't really do it an hour earlier.
Mhm.
Whereas Let's Have a Booba is just a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
David, which feels like a while to me, but in the grand scheme of things, it will not be all that long.
Yeah, just this stream and then the next two are going to be a different time. Which is, always
until
fun.
March 29th, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. So the 30th will be back like normal and everything will be fine. Yeah. Exactly. I just went through and like had to update some of mine. Oh. Thanks, George. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my entire life, but thanks.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh. Well, I'm trying to like market my book and social media sucks. I hate it.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, because it's today is the like official 1 month before my book comes out. So I like was like, oh, I have to make a high effort reel, and I don't know. I realized last week when my sister convinced me to do like, like the trend reels that people, I don't know if y'all know, but like there are like trend reels that like lots of people will redo in a lot of different niches. And they're like, you should do some of those. And I was like, okay. And they went really great. And I was like, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we start?
What?
Yes. Oh, also, yeah, you cannot see me again because my camera is not working again, despite the fact that it was working all of this previous week. So I guess it just doesn't like Mondays.
Which is relatable. But yes, I don't have anything up yet.
I have just shared my screen.
Okay.
And I will zoom in a lot. Okay. So, I wanted to just clarify a few things before we start the kind of Lexurgy part of this. So, one thing I wanted to do was, before I send you like the empty, oh, David's not going to love that, but anyway. The empty file, like I should basically like make sure that you both like how I've set things out. It's easier for this if we just sort of run through it and make sure you understand. I'm gonna ask Maddie primarily, but if you have anything that you don't like, Bib, then please shout.
Well, I'm going to hedge right from the top because unlike Maddie, I am not a software engineer. I have never had any kind of training in any kind of computer science related thing ever. I couldn't program a toaster. So you might have to be quite patient with me.
This bit isn't really about, well, I guess I can I don't have. I did 1 year of computing at school, which I feel like is like 0 qualification.
Yeah, it's something.
I've been using Lexurgy since Graham. I never know if I should say Graham or Graham. Graham is how I say the name that most Americans will call Graham. So
I would also
anyway.
say Graham. I had a teacher with the last name Graham, and I consistently said Graham. And I remember the first time I heard someone else say the teacher's name out loud, and I heard them say Graham, and it just felt so fundamentally wrong.
Okay.
I would say Graham, but I think graham cracker. So
Okay. I think this is like, we're not seeing a lot of file, but we don't need to right now. So you're fine with like cons as a abbreviation for consonant. Okay, so I would say that for a detailed description of how this actually works, you probably want to read the documentation. But from a lay perspective on Lexurgy, for people who kind of figured out how to do it once and just copy and paste what they've done, this is kind of so you're basically defining symbols which are typically going to match your IPA. So we have an M and we have an Engma, and then you define it as a symbol, you put the symbol itself, and then everything in these square brackets and some stuff that isn't in them is the features associated with the symbol. So the explicit features here is that it's labial, it's a nasal, and it's voiced. However, if we go up to the top, you can see that for the feature type, and you can name these whatever you want. So like you could call it like feature sausage. No,
sausage of death. Love
and
it.
it would still work. Like you can coin these however you want. But if you want to assume something, then you can put a little asterisk, and it basically means that if it's not defined as one of the things afterwards, it's this thing. So everything we don't explicitly label as a vowel, Lexurgy will treat as a consonant. So you can see that everything will fall under a type. Not everything has to have a manner. So we've only got stop, nasal, fricative, approximate, trill. There isn't like a vowel manner. And there is no like unmarked manner either. And you can also use binary features. So I'm just using sib for sibilant. Do you know what a sibilant is, Maddie?
Okay, this is like S is a sibilant, right?
Yeah. It's all of those SE sounds. And yeah, and on George's point, Lexurgy is not very difficult if you know sound change notation, but Maddie's also fairly recently introduced a sound change notation.
Hopefully the general coding knowledge makes up for that.
Yeah.
Whereas I very rarely use the actual notation. I just write them out in just, prose, if that's the right word.
So this stuff, like, we can worry about more if you need it. I'm going to give you basically this top of the file that defines everything. And we can worry about this if it changes later. I obviously left these bits in and then never bothered to fill them out. Okay.
Yeah.
So for the de-romanizer, is there anything that would help you that you want both of you to have from the beginning? And it might be useful to go back to the one problem is that, like, the language simply isn't very easy to like, one of the reasons why I tended to, like, I think I started half romanizing the proto language, and people were like, why are you romanizing the proto language? It's basically for Lexurgy, so that I can just like pop things in without having to get the IPA keyboard up. But now I have one. And I think you have one, don't you, Bib?
Sorry, I have one what?
An IPA keyboard.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
If I can just ask while we're here, so the de-romanizer, that would imply to me that it takes symbols from the romanization and converts them into symbols in the IPA.
This is where, like, the names themselves are actually probably less specific than, because obviously, like, this is an IPA symbol and this is an IPA symbol.
Yeah.
This basically just creates a specific kind of rule that gives you, so like this rule here, hiatus resolution, is a more standard sort of rule. So it has a name which is colored purple for us. And the name ends with a colon, which is, this rule does this. And then you have an input, an output, an arrow that implies the change. And then you have the slash, which is also used in sound change notation to indicate the environment. And then you can define your environment afterwards. And you can add notes and things with the hash at the start. So this rule inserts a semi-vowel between vowels in hiatus.
Is that what the asterisk means?
The asterisk is the Lexurgy equivalent of the null symbol. You know, the big zero with the line through it.
Yeah. Okay, I see it. Yeah. So it creates a from nothing when the nothingness is between two vowels.
Yes.
Cool.
There are some big differences between sound change notation and Lexurgy rules. And it annoys different people in different ways. And the easiest thing is just to treat the Lexurgy rule as its own notation that works if you are already expecting some amount of coding notation. So like the hash for comments is standard coding notation.
Yeah.
But it then means that you can't use the hash in environments. So you use a $sign instead, which means something slightly different in sound change notation and all of that fun stuff. On some level, it's like they're siblings, but not twins.
Yeah.
So before we start trying to make new rules, I wanted to check, do you want this rule to be shared between the two branches, or is this a specifically happening after the split between the, like, does this happen as a kind of allophonic thing in the, like if we go here, does this happen at 0, or is this specific to M, basically?
I actually can't remember, but I think we may have had some sound changes that were sensitive to vowels being in hiatus.
Okay, so I will save a version of this. Well, do you want the stress rule? Like, are you treating stress the same here?
The initial stress system of the
Yeah.
left edge, yeah, we started with the same. It changes later, but that's how it starts.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think ours ends up different.
So, this is quite strange. Because I think that this should be basically this for this, but I'm a bit worried. Anyway, I'm gonna delete all of this stuff up to the stress thing. Oh, do I want that one? No. We can add that back in. So, and we're deleting the hiatus resolution, and probably I think you've got rules targeting this as well, right?
I think so.
The H cleanup.
So where
I don't
you
think we
have
do, but it would make sense to have that.
here, or because we can always add something in, but one of the things that I use this for is it means that there's no difference between typing like this and with the diacritic, because the function of the diacritic becomes essentially the same as with the H. I'm also going to remove these from here.
I mean, I think we're going to have a handful of other diacritics to deal with anyway, so.
Yeah, I can show you how to do diacritics and stuff later. So I'm going to export this. So pillar line B. The Sil keyboard is useful in that I don't have to do anything to make it exist, but it's annoying in that it feels like there's a bunch of really frequently used characters that, yeah. Now, I can't send a file in that chat, so I'm going to have to send it in our Discord chat.
Yeah. Okay.
So then we can press import, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
So if I come here, so I'll make this bigger. So the liquid euvularization rule is the first one on here. So what we need are symbols that cover the R and the L. Now, isn't this L the velar?
Looking at it, yeah, it does seem like... Actually, what is the uvular one? Is it just that with like a mark underneath?
It might be, which is another case where it may be more useful to basically use the L without anything else, and just remember that it's uvular, basically.
Hmm.
We still have other L's, right?
It is a capital L with just a line underneath.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this down here. So in evolved consonants, and you don't have to do this. So put symbol. Oh, I think I copied and pasted it, and then went somewhere else. So let me find this. It's probably going to be with a capital R. Is it that one we're using? Yeah. And there's still this. Is this one the approximate? I'm so bad at it. I'm just like, I get to some bits of the IPA, and I'm like, I have not thought about this in a long time. About what exactly. I assume that it's an approximate. No, this is a trill. So and is the R already a trill?
I think so, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, one useful thing to do is, like, you can see that for the alve... Well, I always get in my head. I say alveolar. That's how I say it.
I also say alveolar.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard anyone say alveolus before, but alveolus is like an accepted pronunciation.
So we've got symbol, we have our IPA symbol, and then we're defining. So we know it's a consonant, but it's assumed to be a consonant. We've defined our place, and to be clear, like, if you're making these rules and you are like, this is just how I do my Lexurgy files, and I think, like, there's probably plenty of people who do things this way, and there's probably people who have other systems. And, like, I'm not saying this is the correct way to do it. This is just how I do it. I just wanted to be explicit about that. So have you... I think I've been chatting about this for far too long, and you've probably both done that now.
Oh, are we supposed to do it as well?
Yes, now you have your own versions of your documents. Anything that I do, you'll also... Like, I can... If you want me to just start doing stuff, I can also send you a version of this, or I can send you what I've written. So either approx voiced, and do I have a plus lateral? I haven't defined this as a lateral because we don't have a central alveolar approximant. So I will leave this like this for now. However, if we do need to define it as lateral later, we can do.
This is for the fancy L.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just make a note in mind about that.
Okay. And it will also be useful for us, based on our syllable structure, to add these as liquids to the class, which I moved to the bottom. Okay, so how are you doing?
Looking for... Oh, it's right there. So class liquid should have both of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you're putting these consonants in the evolved consonant section, you might need to move your class until after your symbols are defined. And I will zoom out a bit because I think it will be small, but it's probably easier if you can see more stuff, basically.
Mm-hmm. But we don't need to write for the uvula trill voiced and uvula approximate voiced. We don't need to add liquid to that.
Because it's in a class, it's basically that, like, when I'm doing this, like, because trill and approx are considered in the like, if you wanted to, you could do a feature liquid.
Okay.
And you that would be like a perfectly valid way of doing it.
So a feature is not a class.
In Lexurgy, no.
Okay.
It's not like classes and features are like, they're different sorts of things. A class, you basically you give it a name and you can define all the things that are in that class. Whereas a feature is that you define the feature at the start, and then you can add the feature to your symbol declaration later on.
Okay.
I'm never sure quite how much scrolling is too much scrolling. But anyway, so I'm gonna copy the naming convention as in your document. So we give it a name, and it needs a hyphen and a colon. Why am I overthinking every single word I say? And this keyboard. And the easiest thing, because R and L are not currently defined or linked by anything, you probably could put at liquid, but we can, because we've currently defined L as an approximant and R as a trill, all we have to do is define them as uvula, and it should move things along. Oh, they go to uvula. Is it after uvulas?
Yeah.
So we add the slash, which marks the environment. And then we say uvula, and then we put our underscore for the environment. And so if we make a word uklu and ukru, then these will become uklu and ukru. So how are you doing, Maddie?
Good.
If you want to share your screen, then I can judge your work so far. But I mean, I feel like at this point you probably just had to copy me or whatever. Oh, lots of notes. So, yeah, that rule has worked out very well. This second rule is we're gonna have to fix that.
Yeah. I was just starting to like place things in and copy them over so that I had the notes there, orienting myself.
Do you want to fix that? Should we fix that rule together?
Sure.
So, one thing, if you think about that rule, is what's first of all, do you think that we have all the symbols defined?
No.
Okay, so if we go up, we can go to, is there a evolved vowels section? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the, so I think that for you, it will be remembering what the features need to be. We do have the schwa already.
Oh, you're right, we do. Okay. Okay, so we need those. And then I assume they have some similarity with these.
Yeah, this is where like how you define the features does become important.
Okay.
So question for Bib. How do you want to define the distinction between U and if I'm doing that right?
Is there an obvious correct answer, or is this one of those things that's kind of up to the freedom of the lexicist?
It probably is up to the freedom of the lexicist. Like, I mean, if you wanted to just make a feature that was like fancy, you could, you could just define it like that. But we're not making it a fancy close back file.
Is rounding a thing?
Yeah, we can add rounding, but the main thing that we're worried about here is the distinction. Like, if we, I think that like, if we were just gonna label it whatever, we'd probably call it ATR, right? Like some sort of tongue root thing. Or you would define it with, I guess, like backness.
Well, can central be a feature?
So this is also where what you call things matters. So central right now is how we call the depth value of our vowels. So
Blacks.
front, central, back.
George also has a suggestion or
So,
an
yeah.
opinion.
George is saying that it's ATR or tense lax, which is what I would probably suggest. Although, like, if you wanted to define it as central, you can define it as such, and we could basically. Oh, are you looking at the top one? Or are you thinking about the bottom one? Because I've just realized that calling the top one close central vowel is definitely what we will be doing.
Yeah, I was focusing on that for the time being.
Okay, yeah. So that one is a close central vowel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because there's no issues there, basically. So what we probably want to do is add an ATR feature.
Okay.
Which means we want to go back to where we've defined our features.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say we can put a gap between depth and height and the syllable features and add a feature ATR. I'm trying to remember what the phonologists say, whether the retracted tongue root is the gesture or not.
From my understanding of gestural phonology, I would think so, but I am not.
I feel like usually we talk about it in terms of retracted, like advanced tongue. This is where I'm like, I really do not know quite enough about this to be effectively leading people. But you can define things as minus as well.
Like that you add it versus take it away?
Yeah.
So we could have like tense and minus tense.
If it's easier to call it tense lax, then we can refer to them like that as well. Although I don't think that it necessarily makes sense for the phonology as it stands, because like would a central vowel then be lax?
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with plus. Well, okay. Should we just like try and copy what George is saying?
So you say it's tongue root and ATR and RTR are the gestures. Is that like the feature is called tongue root and ATR and RTR are the types of tongue root?
I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do, and if it works, we'll go with this, and if it doesn't, then
okay. What you got?
So I'm making a featured tongue root now, and then there will be advanced tongue root and retracted tongue root, which is, I think, a bit clunky, and I'm gonna have to like do my best to remember how these work.
So just a question on just the syntax of this. So if I spell tongue root as two different words, then the tongue turns green and the root turns purple. So I'm going to assume that that's not doing what it's supposed to do.
No, you have to define the names. You could do tongue root. Oh no, you can't use a hyphen in
No, it doesn't like
these
that either.
either. What if I do the... No, it won't let me use an underscore. A lot of the kind of symbols there, basically, they're used for other things, which means that like it doesn't like you using them elsewhere, basically.
Oh, hold on. George is saying maybe we should just call it central instead because one result is the schwa, correct?
Yeah, the change is the centralization change, but the effect of the uvula is a tongue root change, which is why tongue root is maybe what I'm tempted to call it.
Another question, just the gaps between the different, like in like row 49 and row 52 there, you've got a blank space. Is that just for the sake of convenience of like grouping?
This is just
symbols
visual,
together?
yeah.
Okay, so you can delete those and it'll still work.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So we can define this vowel as a close central vowel. Does have a retracted tongue root or a... I think it has an advanced tongue root, doesn't it?
The high central?
Yeah. I think I've... it's like, what's going on?
It's one of those descriptions that I've never properly like familiarized myself with, like the what it actually, you know, physiologically feels like.
I think foible does define all of these things. If I can find bad eye. I'm sure this is a thrilling view. Okay, so foible defines, does it have, it's minus retracted tongue root, but also it defines it as minus advanced tongue root, which is incredibly annoying.
Yeah. Well, George and Tinguish are both voting for just pretending it's central for simplicity. But I'm up for whatever.
Let's just call it central. We can leave the feature in with just adding a hash for now, in case we need it later on. And yeah, it does mean that we have to add a rounding distinction, but that should be fine. So
The hell? My IPA keyboard is acting up.
if it's the SIL one, it's just that the IPA keyboard is a bit dodgy, in my experience. So
for some reason, it's not letting me delete the letter E. It's letting me delete all the other letters, but not the letter E.
That is very weird. And I think I've added my round feature without necessarily saying anything about it. So for round, because it's either round or not round, I guess if you did a Swedish, you could have a feature of, what would you even call it? Lip shape, and distinguish round from compressed. But anyway,
Okay.
The easiest thing is just to make it a binary feature by using the plus sign before your label.
Okay.
And then now, when we get to the rules, if we get a W, we can add round to it and stuff. But for now, I'm just doing it like that. And we have to write our rule, which is uvular coloring. Cool. So if you look, we can define our vowels, and they go to central when they follow. It's follow, right?
Follow a uvula, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is how I would do it. So there's probably a neater way of doing it, but to be honest, like there isn't really a feature that unites all of these. But they all become central, and yeah. So we ready to move on?
Let me just. What did we define, or rather, what did you define the as again?
As
also central?
I ended up defining it as a close central rounded vowel.
So it's the same as the except it's plus round.
Yeah, and I had to define a feature plus round as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did that. Yes, feature plus round.
Yeah, and I added that to the u and o as well.
Right.
Which means that I can define this as just have these three vowels become central because the u retains its round feature and the e and e are both front. So I can just push everything central following the uvulars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this next rule is going to be trickier. So, epenthesis. Now, does this happen with these uvularized versions of the liquids as well, or are they?
Yes.
Okay.
It's essentially any time you get a sequence of 3 or more consonants, there is a vowel that is inserted to. If it's 3 consonants, then the vowel is inserted between the first and the second consonant. Whereas if it's 4 consonants, then a vowel is inserted between the second and third consonants.
So do we need to add like a liquid feature for those?
Well, we have a liquid class, right?
That's right.
So,
right.
The easier. So one thing is that it will check the first line before the second line. Although I think for this, so liquid, consonant. So it doesn't matter here. The vowel is inserted. Sorry, you just explained it very nicely, and then I've forgotten what you said.
Basically, after this change, there will no longer be any clusters of 3 consonants or more.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it effectively, this changes the phonotactic so that the maximum consonants you can get next to each other is just 2. So if you
Mhm.
have 4 consonants in a row, it splits it down the middle, so you get 2 groups of 2. Whereas if you have 3 in a row, the coda, or the first of the 3 consonants, gets separated from the following 2.
Will this be 2 different rules? One rule if there's a vowel at the end for it to echo, and one where there isn't a vowel at the end to echo? Or will that not happen because it's the
Yeah, I don't think we get that
No.
with the
Okay.
phonotactics we start out with.
Okay.
So because the vowel is going to go here, right?
Yes.
So if we treat this as a series of 4 consonants, then it would have to be liquid, consonant, consonant, liquid.
Mhm.
However, the vowel in a 3 series becomes between the first and the second, which means that the optional one is this first liquid. And we mark the optionality using the question mark,
Mm.
which then now part of it is that the way to write this rule most succinctly isn't going to be this. But I think the clearest way is going to be this. So you can then leave empty square bracket boxes, and it basically just means that the vowel won't do anything. And nothing changes. If you wanted to be very nice, you would basically put, part of it is that I don't remember exactly how much you can do with these. When you add the $sign and then the number, you basically create a temporary class that just means this is this one thing.
Mhm.
And it matches the thing that you define here. And then when you put that number back in, it will change whatever's there for this thing that you defined. I'm going to try this way. So so that has been split correctly.
Okay.
This has not.
But the last one has.
Last one has.
The alka wouldn't be split because you don't have the last liquid as being optional. Right?
But it should be understood as a consonant.
But there'd need to be 2 consonants plus a liquid, right? So it's a liquid, consonant, consonant. And
Yeah,
you're saying there has to be a liquid.
That's where the issue is. So I don't think that we can write the entire rule like this, which makes me a bit sad.
So we have to have both, one where the front is optional, one where like the back is optional, or do we need to have like three? They're both there, the left one's there, the right one's there?
I think that like the simplest thing is just to define another one. Like sometimes for me, I just want to kind of make it work, even if it's not the prettiest. Yeah. Well, at least this works now.
Remind me again what the empty square brackets do?
Nothing. Which probably means that like you could write this rule alternatively. Let me see if this will work. So I want nothing to become the thing I've defined as number one when it's here.
And what is it that you've defined as number one exactly?
This vowel that comes after two consonants that follow a liquid. So yeah, this also works. So I think this is closer to how you would probably write it in sound change notation. Actually, I don't think that's true. Anyway, this is no, I think this is usually how epenthesis is often described. Although this is more like has the copy vowel thing going on as well. Yeah. I think this is probably the neater description. But you could do it either way. These basically do the same thing. So in this first one, you define where you have your gap effectively for your vowel. And then you say nothing changes, but the gap becomes the vowel. And in this one, you say this vowel here pops up in this space. And then you define the space where it pops up. And both are equally valid descriptions.
And then they both do exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's like a decent amount of redundancy. So I'm curious for this one. Do you two want to give the voicing assimilation rule a go?
Let me just finish writing this one up. I think the second one makes a bit more sense to me as I currently understand things. I'm just going to go with that one.
Mm-hmm.
The random boxes are not ideal.
Yeah.
And we need to put spaces between all of these things, right?
No. Again, you also don't have to do the indent. That's just how I prefer to format it.
Ah, I see.
Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna catch up on comments and. All right. Okay. So, how are you going to write the voicing assimilation rule, Maddie?
I mean, do you want me to show you what I have or no?
Yeah.
I may have been working ahead just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yep, consciousness. So one of these is your environment, and one of them is your target.
Right. Okay. So would it have to be like
So what you've written is like technically I think it will work. And yeah, if it works, it's fine. But it's also about how much what you write matches what's in your rules.
so to be that?
So yeah, that's an alternative way of saying essentially the same thing.
Okay. And the second one would be how I'd want to do it more so.
I mean, to be honest with you, like both works fine.
Okay.
But like the empty brackets are like I basically just use them when I want to like if I'm not sure what I can put in the environment. But yeah, like it's perfectly fine to do it either way.
Okay. Okay. Can you use $voice for assimilation or whatever the feature is called?
You
Hello.
can, but that's not what the rule is doing. So if we use $voice, it would mean that a voiceless consonant would assimilate to being voiced in that position, which yeah, Tinglish, it's only devoicing stuff currently. Now, I'm also thinking, you have a space somewhere that it doesn't like, and I'm not sure where it is. Oh, it's because you've used the underscore. You have to use an asterisk there.
Right.
And
yes, I know that one. That one's fine. Oh, voice.
So
Voiced.
I think we have to call it tenuous for now. Okay.
Do we have tenuous?
This is what I've called non-aspirated, non-voiced phonation, which I'm surprised David's not already had a go at me for using, but anyway.
I think David may have already run away. I feel like this has been a long time for David to be quiet, if David is still here.
David could just be rowing.
That's true. In which case, by repeatedly saying David and David not being able to type, we are just slowly driving him crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if this works.
Okay. You want me to? Okay. Tell me again. So I'm taking voiceless out, and I can't say like that. That doesn't work, right? To just remove.
You can use a no, because what you're doing is if it was you can't use minus. When you use an exclamation mark, it's saying it doesn't match this feature.
Right.
But that's not the same as minus.
Ha.
However, you do want to use the exclamation mark in your environment because there are consonants which are not tenuous that are unvoiced, because the aspirated stop is also unvoiced. If that makes sense.
So this is not voiced.
Yes.
Okay, but this one is tenuous.
Yes.
Okay. Also,
basically, it's like, this is the whole point of having these like 3 phonations was because of the effect we can get in the daughters. But it's honestly like not very intuitive in terms of how these features work. Because like if you have if you think about like the labial stops, for example, we have b, and p.
right.
And so this is changing b to p, but it will do that whether there is a voiceless, whether there is a tenuous stop or a aspirated stop following it. So the sort of environment would be like something that you write like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Am I just missing something, or do we not have aspirated stops defined in the symbols?
So they are defined using a diacritic. So the diacritic is defined.
There it is. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So basically, it just means that the Lexurgy can take a I think it can. Yeah, that's the thing that it's doing. It will take a. I'm curious now. So if I say abha and I take out my minus voiced in the consonant H cleanup rule. Yeah. So basically it can work out that like if you have your stop and we have a basic form defined, it will just add the diacritic to the basic form. And like you can change the symbol and it would just add the diacritic to your same form, basically.
Okay. So do we want to define all the, because we have a lot of aspirated things. Do we want to add them as evolved consonants?
No. First of all, because they exist in the proto-language, and second of all, because so diacritics can be defined as floating, which means that they do not they're not considered separate to the underlying symbol.
Okay.
But yeah, as you're adding like these voiceless ones, particularly the lateral, you'll have to add them in because the minus voice isn't defined yet.
Right. Okay.
And because you have this contrast, and this is going to be very annoying, but this is where like I don't know what phonation class these things are considered to come under more technically.
Oh, these friends?
Yeah, because I know that how I would describe them for stops.
Resonant? Is that it?
A resonant is a broader class.
Oh, resonant liquid? I don't know. I'm just reading the name. I don't know.
Okay.
Voiceless resonance.
Yeah, they're voiceless resonance, but I'm trying to remember what the like. I guess you could describe them as just calling them aspirate. It just feels wrong.
This is not Tariana.
Okay. I want to know how to define a voiceless lateral fricative.
We're just getting voice, or we have a comment that says voiceless sonorants? Question mark?
Sonorants are the same as resonance, aren't they?
I want to say yes, but I'm also like, I think some authors will define them as slightly different to each other, and then other authors will like say they're the same. I'm trying to think if I can think of something that's a sonorant but not a resonant. I think continuant is the one that always catches me off guard because it includes sibilants, all fricatives, I think, because you can hold them basically. Place, phonation. Yeah, the phonation is defined as voiceless, but it might mean that we just add a. This is where like it's kind of just annoying because like the system as defined at this point works for as does Yulia, because these distinctions weren't being made. Whereas here, like, because you can't call the base form is voiced. You don't want to call the plain form. You wouldn't describe the voiceless form as plain. There's probably some sort of like fancy phonology method that maybe George, if George is still here, could tell us about.
George!
George!
Help us, George!
Because I think there's like a spectrum of phonation, but I don't know like where the phonation of these matches the
How dare you, George? We're trying to categorize our voiceless
Consonants,
resonant
yeah.
things. These
So
are voiceless sonorants? Question mark?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So we have these voiceless sonorants, but if at the moment we define our phonation, if you scroll up, as a tenuous aspirated voiced distinction. I would be half tempted to change the word aspirated for breathy and just use breathy.
Yeah. This is the rule. It'll be this one, our post-sibilant aspiration. Oh, wait, no, sorry, this one, our resonant liquid devoicing. That's what it'll come in.
So Welsh has these, although they don't have a three-way distinction.
Red glottis. Spread glottis.
Glottis did it. Okay. It feels like it means that we could technically call both of them the same thing. I mean, I wouldn't usually bother with it, but the thing is that like we have defined things in this three-way phonation distinction. Which, like, if we changed aspirated to spread glottis and then defined the H as spread glottis, the problem is that it will then, if you try and say aspirated, and it's telling me that I use, and then I have to do this to spread glottis, and I'm not sharing my screen.
I would change aspirated to spread and define the voiceless sonorants with that. Do we have fricatives? Yeah, we have fricatives. Is H going to cause a problem?
I don't know what you mean by that, George.
Isn't H always a problem? I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be included. I don't know what's going on. It's okay. So we're thinking we change aspirated to spread and hope it doesn't cause a problem.
I've written out spread glottis, but spread would be fine, I think.
H
Does-
is just glottal fricative. So right now it doesn't interact with these at all, right?
I need to work out how I would do this. Yeah, H right now isn't involved. So we have voicing assimilation. So voiced becomes this. And then we have the stop. What's it called? Post-sibilant aspiration. And do we want? Have you written your post-sibilant aspiration rule?
I wrote mine a moment ago when I realized I had skipped it.
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought that when you press apply, that means that it applies the sound changes to the input words, right?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't do it, and it's weird, and I don't know why.
Okay, because mine doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Do you want to share your screen, Bib, and then I can have a look?
I mean, I feel like I am several pages behind the point that Maddie has arrived at, so I don't think. How do I share screen again?
Should be the little monitor-looking screen at the bottom with the little plus button.
Yeah, and then Maddie can put you on.
Beep.
Like that?
You should be able to share your tab.
It doesn't like that for some reason, because if I okay, let me try that again. It was doing this during the World Building Festival as well. For some reason it just doesn't let me sometimes. Yeah, it just says entire screen is the only option, so but if I do that, can you see Lexurgy?
Maddie might need to put it on.
Yeah, again, there you go. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. It may be a Firefox thing. I use Chrome, and I don't know if that would be something it's sensitive to. So one thing I can see immediately. So
I haven't finished with this yet, by the way.
Okay, cool. Your names have to be all one thing, but you can use hyphens in them. And also the SIL keyboard won't let you type a regular colon. And you have a length marker after the N in liquid uvularization.
Wow.
It's really annoying. And yeah, you'll need a hyphen in there as well. And it also won't let you do stuff if you have errors. So, and then for your last rule, you'll need to put, if you list things, you have to put them in curly brackets.
And the commas still work?
Yep. Yeah, and you'll need to put curly brackets on the other side as well.
And yet still nothing happens when I press apply, but that might be, it says here feature minus voice is not defined.
No, so when I define, it's partly because you didn't make the original document. So I've defined the feature of phonation, which means that it isn't a binary feature. It has like multiple values, basically, which means that you can't just say minus. You have to use an exclamation mark, which means like not. So that will mean that if something is aspirated or it's tenuous, no. So you want to put tenuous there because it's also that it's because of how I've defined it, which is why you're having to write it like this. If you had a binary voicing distinction, you could very easily use plus voiced, minus voiced, and it would all be very neat and tidy. And then for your environment, you have to use exclamation mark voiced because that will look for the phonation, which currently is explicit. So it will apply to consonants. And if it isn't voiced, which means if it's tenuous or it's aspirated, it will apply this rule.
Right. Okay. Got it.
But it doesn't have to be this complicated. Like this was partly why I was like, maybe I should make Maddie like a training wheels language.
And it did something. That seems to have worked.
Yep. Now, does this mean that if you had a sequence of S and then an aspirated P, that you would want the S to stay?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, are we talking about the post-sibilant thing?
Yes.
The sibilant is lost.
If you had S aspirated P, you would lose the S.
I can't remember exactly how I was framing it in my mind when we came up with the change, because I think the underlying concept that I might not have actually stated at any point is that we just lose S as a coda. Like essentially S, there would be like an unwritten rule where coda S goes to H and then is lost.
So you would want to lose S there?
I think so. That feels more consistent to me.
I think it might be better to write the rule with the S and the stop in two parts. So if you delete your curly brackets and also the contents, or you can leave the S. So we have an S, and then in square brackets we can put. So we know that we want this to be a stop. And we also know that we, in terms of phonation, if there is a S there, is it possible for you to have S and then a voice stop at this stage?
No, because... Or is it? Because I thought, as I remember, the reason why we came up with the voicing assimilation was specifically to avoid that. But that's not actually what the rule is doing.
So, would you have the B become an aspirated stop as well? Or would you have it the asba, the S assimilate to the B, or
I don't know
something?
why we didn't do it both ways. with the voicing assimilation and say that like a coda S voices when it comes before a voice consonant.
It's not hard to throw in now.
Mm. We could just,
So, also with this voice thing. So it would mean that you would never get these voiceless stops because they would all have become Z, and then you could do it with only for obstruents. So
Would you say we wouldn't get the? Sorry, say that one more time.
No, it was because we were saying it's obstruents which are voicing here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and is it only with a following obstruent? Or anything?
I'm pretty sure it was restricted just to obstruents.
Mm-hmm.
Because I meant to. This is one of the things I had on the list to talk about next time we went back to the verbi ergative, because we do have a surprising number of words in the Proto-Lang that have a voiceless stop followed by a voiced stop, and in this language, with the rules that we have at the moment, there is currently no way of resolving those. But if we just clean up the voicing rule, that just sort of takes care of things.
So obstru voice. When followed, obstruents assimilate in voicing to a following consonant or obstruent?
Obstruent.
So now you can either define a whole class of things and call it obstruent, or I end up just doing exclamation mark nasal, exclamation mark approximate, exclamation mark trill, which is very long, but it's simpler. Otherwise, you could do voiced, and you could do like stop voiced, fricative voiced is your other option. And my rules are upset with me and I can't work out why. So I'm gonna try and work out what's going on. Oh, it's because I haven't defined my voiceless resonance yet. Okay.
As a side note, I think we're going to need to get rid of the consonant H cleanup rule.
That's fine. You could just remove the cleanup. And that should help fix things. because if you add a cleanup to the end of something, it basically means that it will keep applying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did you think was going wrong, Maddie?
I was peeking at Grassman's Law, which is the next one, and it specifically has a rule of like how to deal with when you have that H in there, and yeah, it gets picked up by that earlier rule and never gets to Grassman's Law, and then in part of it, and then it can't apply Grassman's Law.
Well, the cleanup rule, what the cleanup rule does is it means that there's no distinction between a stop followed by H and an aspirated stop.
Right.
So it means that if you put, oh, I haven't finished defining my things, and now it's unhappy with me. Let me see what, if you put your stuff on screen, I will have a look at what's happening.
Okay. Okay. So I was playing with this because it doesn't look like you can put a diacritic like that. It won't let you.
No, it's because you need to say that other consonant is spread or spread glottis or whatever. So basically what's happened is what Bib has put in the document, I think it uses a superscript H, but there is a distinction between the superscript H full character and superscript. So Grassman's law isn't about consonant H sequences, it's about spread glottis.
Well, yeah, but there's an H in there over here, right?
If you look at the document very closely, you'll see that the two H's look slightly different to each other.
Right. So this one is the aspirated one, and this one isn't, right?
No, they're both aspirated.
They should
are they supposed to be aspirated?
It's because the first one was like typed as a IPA. Like if you put them, I put them next to each other in the document.
Oh.
So this one is just a H that's been put. Because if you use format, you can make something superscript.
Right.
Same as subscript. Whereas this one is just an IPA character.
Okay.
So
lovely.
The law is referring to like aspirated consonants.
Okay.
If you have two aspirated consonants in two syllables that are next to each other, then the first one deaspirates.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you can't, the H, you have to say, it will have to be stop and then spread or spread glottis, or whatever you've called the aspiration feature. Because that H there is attached to a stop. Okay. And apply.
That one's gonna, yeah. Oh, but then it, yeah. Yeah.
Did you remove the cleanup rule?
Yeah, let me uncomment that. Something with spread.
Yeah, if you change that to, to tenuous, because you can't use the exclamation mark. Show me how you defined things at the top. Okay, so yeah, spread. So one thing you can do is trace changes. Oh, it's because of the vowel. I think that it's getting confused because it's expecting a vowel that you've got a consonant between it, so it doesn't match. So in your first one, your pa, you have your aspirated stop, but then you have another P, and then you have your A. But your law is trying to match the whole thing.
I never fixed that.
No. So when you have your environment, it's trying to match the entire environment, right? And your environment says that it's looking for a vowel, and then a consonant with spread glottis, and then another vowel. But you actually need to put a question mark and then your liquid question mark, I think. If I'm understanding the rule correctly, which I think is how you want it to work. So after consonant spread, then you'll put at liquid.
Do we actually want that there, or do I just not know how to?
No, and you want a question mark after it.
Okay.
Yep. And so if you click apply,
is it both?
So now pla is working, and yeah, both of them have worked now.
Okay. Is that we want that liquid, that optional liquid there for sure?
I mean, we can check with Bib, but I think that's how we want it to work.
What are we doing?
So with Grassman's law, at the moment, the way that it's written, it looked like you couldn't have an intervening consonant between the aspirated stop and the vowel. And I've said it's fine if there is a liquid there.
Yeah, that is good.
Now, you did have another example which had a that one is basically, it's going to be however it's because it's how you define your, so if you go to your evolved consonants, so it's an alveolar approximate spread. Okay. It's from the devoicing rule. It means that you're going to need to add another line, I think. To the devoicing rule. So
This one, the resonant liquid devoicing?
no, it's the voicing assimilation rule.
Oh, okay.
So above that, for that one, you probably want to specify if you do a curly bracket situation, you could say stop or a fricative becomes tenuous. Yeah, and you need those in your square brackets to say that those are units. Like how you have like around consonant. Because you're basically like, yeah. Stop.
And then I don't need the second line?
No, and then nope. And then underneath it will be nasals, trills, and like approximates, I guess. Although it may be easier to just write L. Like this is a situation where you probably should just write it out, and it will be easier. Sorry.
I don't really even understand what we're doing right now.
So it's the same list as in resonant liquid devoicing, right?
This list?
The second half.
This?
Yeah.
Even though those don't exist yet?
Although, was this supposed to happen now, Bib, or not?
Which one?
If you have a sequence of a nasal followed by a voiceless obstruent, were those also supposed to devoice?
Might have.
Say that one more time.
So say you have a sequence of like M and then K. So like Amka. Is that supposed to become Amka, or is it not affected and it's literally just obstruent voicing assimilation?
I don't know if we ever actually established that. I mean, that would make some sense.
I mean, I know we do stuff with like some of the aspirated. Oh, it's probably not related.
Well, later on, the voiceless, I think just the voiceless nasals, they become sequences of nasal followed by H, but that only happens intervocalically, I think, whereas everywhere else they just revert to plain nasals. So it almost doesn't matter.
It would only matter if you have a preference for the sequence being like, if we think about it with like vowel, liquid, voiceless stop, vowel, we can see if we have an example word in the proto language. I feel like we should do, but it's very much possible that we don't.
So we're trying to decide if like alta becomes like alta.
Or if it stays alta.
Any preferences, Maddie?
To be completely honest, I'm not really following what's going on, so shrug.
I mean, just purely in terms of like the chartreuse vibe, do we prefer alta or alta?
So we have a root which is I can't roll my R's, so forgive me, but right now it's Artu, right?
Artu?
I put it in the chat. It's schwa trill tu. It means wave.
When you say the chat,
On StreamYard, there's a private chat and then there's comments.
oh, there it is. Yeah, Artu.
Yeah. And so this could either become Artu,
Artu?
Artu, yeah,
Artu.
or stay Artu.
Artu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with either. Like, I think both of them are justifiable.
Do
So,
you have a preference, Maddie?
I think the second one is nice. They're both fine.
So
because when we introduced the hra and the hla, you said you found them intimidating.
They are.
So if we applied this rule, then that would mean there would be a lot more of them.
them.
Maybe not then.
Okay. Like both it's very much fine to be like no. So what that means for this voicing assimilation rule is that as you've written it is correct.
This
we
one.
we don't need to worry about the other stuff. Yeah.
Cool. I would just like to say that Death Sausage is still very much very similar so far. As are clearly the most important words.
I mean, we can try and we've got 8 minutes left, so the question is sort of how much do you want to try and do now, and is there anything you want us to like run through to try and change the death?
Well, we still have a lot of sound changes, so the odds that nothing else changes.
If you do the palatal velar merger, that will change a lot.
Yeah.
And that one is going to be quite easy for you to put through, because I would suggest you can just do that one with a substitution rule. But you'd have to put the, it may be actually better to use, you have to use the diacritics.
Okay. For the
This is where the diacritic versus superscript is coming to get you. Oh no, now I put the diacritic in superscript. There.
Okay.
No. So, it's because so this rule is written using the true IPA pronunciations of the palatal series. And we shifted to using the alveolar palatal because it was what we were using in Asdaziria. Now, it might be easier to the least effort thing to do would be to keep using, because you kill all the palatal stops, right?
Yes.
So the easiest thing is just to ignore the fact that we've been using these symbols and go down to the bottom and just say palatal stop goes to a velar stop. So and you can just write velar. Yep. And it should do exactly the same thing, but it will work this time.
Oh.
There we go. Tlaloc. I think it is curious that Slaloc would have become Tlaloc, but Tlaloc is still Tlaloc.
For now.
For now. Let's see, what else will change? So that means that we have Tlaloc and Ak.
Ak for death is kind of fun.
I mean, an Ak in Egyptian, I think it's Egyptian mythology, is a type of undead spirit. So it does make sense.
I like it.
Stress valve raising will change things.
I feel like that's too far. Also, we haven't talked about stress stuff yet and how to deal with that.
Well, the stress is all in the file now. Because I gave you it with the stress rule, the stress is kind of in there. Although you change your stress rules, which means we'll have to talk about it at some point.
Yeah.
Speaking of, are we doing this next week as well?
I don't think we were planning on it. We can if you both want to.
I'd be up for that.
That's fine with me. I don't know how much people are enjoying it.
All right. Well, we've had the most people watching this than we have most other streams. We had 20 people for a while, so like
people are interested in how Lexurgy.
Yeah. Or the thumbnail is just that banging, you know.
The thumbnail is amazing.
Yeah.
Plus, people were so shocked by the change in time that they were like, "What's going on?"
I know, yeah. They're like, "What is this new thing at this time that we've never seen before?" Although it's the same for y'all, but
okay.
The Americans in the stream.
I feel this is another example where I'm just like, I am such a bad person to be trying to explain this. Although I feel like you've like done a lot.
A lot more than me, that's for sure.
I feel like I'm gonna struggle as we get into the more like right now when it's just like character substitution, that's fine for me. Like when we start getting on all the stuff with the like more linguistical things, I'm like, oh, so what's happening? You know, I don't know.
The thing is, looking at these rules, like the I mutation, the mutations stuff will be more complicated, although like, there's a really easy way to do it. But like everything that you've got right now really isn't that bad.
We still need to actually work out how the mutation works and when it actually happens.
Yeah, that was our although I suppose if we got to that, we'd just have to figure it out.
Well, it does mean that when you have your Lexurgy file, you can go through it and find a good stage with all of your example words and stuff. Do you pick which mutations you're doing?
Based on the bolding there, I think we decided that we would go with the I and the U mutation, but then there was also the Whether you wanted to call it a bug or a feature was up for debate because we do get a front-rounded E.
Mhm.
And so that could theoretically cause both or like some combination of the two, but it would only be in stems that in the proto-lang had a final syllable that had a palatal followed by a U. So it would be like a small irregular class that had its own separate mutation pattern.
Well, I was thinking, because this is kind of what I did with the language that I did for the Langheim challenge that isn't public yet, but because there's the problem is that this is going to be ergative, but there's a kind of unattributed absolutive tag that we have in Astasirya. And I was thinking that it means that like that thing could like end up being associated with the U mutation if you had the right sound changes. But because it's unattributed, I think that you could just like, if you wanted, I think that you can get accusatives and ergatives from the same things, right?
When you say from the same things, like the same sort of lexical source?
That, or like, I don't think you can get ergatives from marked. It's all the like markedness of it, isn't it? Because like, I think it would be easier to say that you have a. Oh no, they mark different. Yeah. No, I think I got. What was I thinking of? Because you mark the agent. Yeah, maybe not the ergative from or.
Although I did come up with a way of getting a marked absolutive and an unmarked ergative. But that's more. I'm not actually sure I would want to do that in this situation.
No, that makes sense. Anyway, I feel like we should let Maddie go.
I'm awake, I promise. I did think about that before the stream. I was like, this is an interesting time for me to try to do like learn Lexurgy sound change stuff when I'm like a little bit sleep deprived and brain dead.
I remember when I showed you Lexurgy before, you said that you found it easier to understand than kind of sound change rules.
Yes. I still agree with that.
Okay.
I still feel like I spent a decent amount of time of this stream just like staring off into space like, whoa. Not because of the sound changes or the Lexurgy, but just because of
we need to see the meme reels.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. I do actually have to do 2 more this week, and I don't want. They're just so like cringe.
Embrace the cringe.
What?
Why do you have to do 2 more this week? Is like someone making you?
Because there's an ideal percentage. So reels and posts do very different things on Instagram. I know you don't care, but I'm telling you anyway. Reels are significantly shown to non-followers. So reels are how you attract new audience. Posts are almost exclusively only seen by your followers, both like due to some shenanigan of how this stuff works, right? So like you have to do a certain number of reels in order to be able to grow. And so there's like a ratio, like a golden ratio of like reels to posts in order to both engage with and entertain and keep your current audience and also try and grow your audience to new people. Hence a rough 2 to 3 reels to 4 to 5 posts a week. So you do, yeah. That's the ratio if you're doing one thing every day. So
And you have to do this every week?
Yes. I've been doing lower effort reels before now, but I've been, my sister got me set up in like September, October, and I ramped up slowly, but like I have a lot of stuff that I could just like repeat and shuffle a little bit. But yeah, every week for the rest of my author career until something takes over Instagram.
I'm glad I'm not an author.
It's rough. But, you know, I've already acquired 300 ARC readers, so it's working.
Is an ARC reader like a super reader, like an archbishop is to a bit like?
Yeah, basically. No, they're the people that get free copies of your book early in exchange for reviews. Obviously, they won't all end up reading it. They won't all end up reviewing it. It typically ends up being somewhere between like 10 and 50% of the people you send the book to early will actually review it. But this way, when your book releases, there's already people that have read it and can leave reviews like immediately on Amazon, which allows it to get going. Yes, George, 300 free copies. And technically I've sent out more than that because I've also sent it to like some friends just for funsies. Yes. Yes. And this is really important because then all the people that see your book, because it gets shown to a lot of people when it's in the whole like early releases, like it gets like a fancy new releases banner and a lot of people will see it. But if it doesn't have social proof, i.e. a bunch of reviews, no one's going to buy it. So like you give out tons of free copies at the beginning, not like tons, but like, you know, see how many you can get. They leave the reviews, which gives you the social proof so that all the other people who look at it will actually buy the book. So it's like, yeah, gets it moving. Plus, a lot of people that read ARCs are less likely to buy a free book or buy a book outright anyway. So like, you know, yeah. Marketing with Maddie. It's
You can do that on Bib's channel. It's you give Bib all of the marketing advice, and then we get to see Bib make reels on Instagram.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh, honestly, that sounds like peak content. Oh my god.
I would love to see it once. I wouldn't want to push Bib to have to do it more than that.
But like once would be
Maybe on April Fools.
Oh my gosh, can we though? Can we though? No one that's watching this, you can't see this right now. This isn't happening. Shh. Okay.
If you stay here, you've sworn yourself to secrecy.
Yep. It was in the contracts you all signed with your presence. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna click the end stream button. Bye, people.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.